you doing, Randy?
Excellent. Great to see you, and really excited to have you on today. Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate you inviting me. Humbled to be a part of this group, all those great names that I see on the advisory board.
Awesome. So this is episode number 111 of Tech Sales Insights. If you want to go back and see any of the prior ones, you can go to salescommunity.com and see in the prior ones. And then you can also see going forward. Interestingly enough, we're actually booked out 25 months till I think March of 2025. So if any friends watching want to partake in that, we'll can pencil it in, and who knows what the world's going to be like then, but certainly will be interesting, I'm sure. So Costa Harbilas is CRO of Intap, and certainly doing a great job there. Our topic is uniqueness of selling into partner-led business models of professional and financial services industries. We have our sponsor, Humantech, who, for lack of better words, my kind of introduction would be the old school traditional disc profile exercises that a bunch of us had done probably 20 30 years ago. They have an amazing way of kind of automating everything. I can go to my LinkedIn, and then Costa's profile pops up, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, and some real cool ways to kind of leverage that to better know people on your team that you're selling to, partnering to. So thanks to Humantech.ai for being the sponsor today. And Tucker, before I forget, maybe that link that we have, there's a Randy Seidel link. So you click on that. They give you, I think it's a free 3 weeks or something like that. So definitely check that out for sure. And then if you want to expand it for your team, I think they'll do kind of 5 or 10 other people as well. And then with Sales Community, Tucker maybe put up our free link as well. If you go to the site, salescommunity.com, you can go to the upper left-hand corner, and there's a link that says winter free. So if you do that, you get a free year, or you can click on the other one where you pay. Totally your call what you want to do. So by way of introduction, I've got some mutual friends that said some great words about you. So Dave Boyle, who was with us early on in the EMC AS400 days. He's now, I believe, running North America sales at Commvault for Ricardo. So Dave says, I had the pleasure of working with Costa in the early to mid 90s. Costa is one of those professionals you can see a mile away. I'm not surprised that he's Costa is the great leader that he has become. I'm not surprised either. His infectious passion, energy, and his constant curiosity around learning are very inspiring. He's one of the most personable and caring executive leaders I've ever had the pleasure of working with. So, boil a beer. And then John McKee, who is MD, manages the West for SAP, says he's living the American dream as a young boy who's balancing the checkbook and paying expenses at the pizza place in a working class neighborhood owned by his immigrant parents. Through hard work and talent in and out of the classroom, he entered Cornell University and played football. Those formative years laid the foundation for the sales leader he is today. 100% grit, 100% humble, and 100% about the people and about his team. For me, we first met back, I think it was 29 years ago in 1994. It wasn't your first sales job, but came into EMC as a rep in Southern California. And at the time, what we had, the AS400 group, we kind of, full disclosure, kind of fell out of touch. And then with Sales Community, we were able to re-engage, and certainly really excited and so proud with how well you are doing and have been doing. And we're also both LPs in a venture capital fund called Stage 2 Capital. So lots of great memories there. And you came on as, I guess, something of a puppy, and now you're this on a German Shepherd, a Great Dane.
Well, thank you. Really kind words. Great guys. I learned a lot from Dave and John and yourself. I remember as a young rep going on a call with the big boss, his boss's boss, and I was just really taken by how humble you were at the time and how helpful you were, and really, wanting to go help this new guy in the patch and go on a really small count call and really guide me. And I remember those days saying, that's very cool. I'd love to be able to impact people's lives in that way. And so all three of Dave, John, yourself were very impactful in my career. So thank you for what you did, and obviously what you're doing now, which is pretty cool. bringing all of us together and talking about some cool things.
Absolutely. But I mean, just as a sidebar, it's interesting. I mean, we all know sales leaders that, if to watch expressions, have their head up, where, but it's like, okay, just treat people how you want to be treated. We all grew up in a, early stage environments. So the leaders, Dick and Roger, everybody else was kind of very hands-on, but it seems like today some of that kind of sauce is kind of just evaporated. And that's kind of a more of an old school technique as opposed to, how everything should be working, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can't lead a team from a spreadsheet, right? And you got to be in the field, you got to be able to do windshield time. And the last couple of years were challenged, but now it's we're all back on the road again. And I think there's nothing more important than spending time with the team, talking to clients, and figuring out what the issues are, right? Because our job is to be servant based and lead from the front and knock down obstacles and make sure we figure out how to help the team be more successful faster. Frankly, that's what we do. Why would they pay us, is to get results through a set of individuals and make sure that we can improve their lives, help them achieve the goals that they have.
Yeah, totally. So I just made a note that's going to be one of my follow-on. I might be old school posts that I do every week. So anyway, you live in Newport Beach, pretty nice things there, and have the active lifestyle. So besides work and family, also does pickle, and found out that Rick Brown, I guess, is a stud pickleball champion. So that was great to know, and work out a lot. And at least two of your daughters are amazing at water polo. One won a couple of national championships at Stanford, which is real impressive. Is she getting, we didn't talk about it before, is she getting into sales, or what does she want to do?
Yeah, she is. She's actually working at a private equity firm, a software growth firm called K1 out of Manhattan Beach. And she's pitching CEOs that need money on why they should take money from K1 and help grow their opportunity. So she's in sales, and a lot of the lessons that athletics teaches us is she's now learning the school of hard knocks, doing it in real life. So she's doing great. I'm proud of her. My little one is in high school, and I've got an older son that was a tennis player and a rower, and he graduated. And now he's working. So I got two off the payroll, and one still on. But yeah, I'm really blessed. It's fun. You see Rick's a beast on the court. He's in great shape. I don't know if he's winning the over 60 or over 70 matches, but he's winning a lot. And so I just hope to keep up with him.
Yeah, he's not that old, not that old at all. And coincidentally, so my brother-in-law Rob Healy runs a PE group called L Squared, and they're actually based out of either Laguna Beach. He lives in Laguna Beach, but Laguna Beach or Newport Beach. So it's funny. Hers is K1 and then L Squared. So you got the letters of the alphabet. So
you got them all cornered.
Happy to connect them for sure. So if we jump into the real questions now, what was your first job out of Cornell?
So I worked as a manufacturer's rep in the office products business, and selling pens and paper and pencils. And I moved to San Francisco. I remember seeing a couple of guys that are very successful guys going, I'm like, what do you do? Like, I work for EMC. I'm like, I want to go do that. And they got me an interview, and I got a job, and the rest is history in my tech career. Started from hardware and got into software.
Awesome. So with that, so you're doing the office products, then you got to EMC, and then kind of maybe just quickly go through kind of what you do from there.
So I went from EMC, and then I ended up getting to software. I took my first software at Cognos. It was a BI player at the time. I joined about 140 million, and they scaled. I had a great run there. Spent about 7 years as a individual contributor. Became a small account guy, medium account guy, large account guy. Became a frontline sales leader, and then I became a second line sales leader. And I was fortunate enough to get my MBA at night at Pepperdine at the time when I was working there. And then from there, I went over, I did a lot of things over here, small and medium and large companies. I moved over to CA, and that was a time of a real challenging time. So I learned a lot about fit and culture. It was a couple of tough years. We're going to go build a BI business, and that's when the indictments and all those bad things happened. Yeah. So it was not pleasant.
Some people went to jail there in the CA side, right?
35 month, 35-day months, and those sorts of things. So didn't see any of that, but it was just not a pleasant place. But I learned a lot about the environment you want to create for people who want to participate and be a part of the team. Then I went and reached for the brass ring, company called Gamma. I became the CRO, global sales leader, reported to the CEO. It was a services company trying to be a product company. I learned the importance of that transition, how hard it is. And we were in an ecosystem of SAP, and I learned how strong SAP was, which helped me later in my career. So we didn't make it, spent a couple of years, and we sold our assets. And then I went to work for Rick Brown at the time after Mercury got bought by HP Software. And he gave me, like, I was looking to go do something entrepreneurial again. And he gave me a good talk about you got to get a big company background, learn a lot. And so I came in and I had 5 roles in 7 years, did a lot of cool things, went from a frontline leader all the way to the chief operating officer in North America, helped to do some due diligence on a company that we acquired, ran that business globally, and learned a lot about, organizational structure and creating go-to-market teams. And so that was a great experience. Did another startup at Prediction. A buddy of mine was a VC, had invested some money in a company in Orange County, IoT on the edge, which was fun. I was a CRO. We spent a lot of money, and I learned the importance of product market fit. Didn't make it, sold our assets. And, one of the guys, the CRO at HP Software at the time, Mark Furr, I think is part of the community, was the COO at SAP and recruited me over. And I became the COO in the West. It was a couple $1 billion business. And that's where I worked underneath John McGee, who was a really great leader. And, I learned about, I thought SAP was the best large company on the planet, best enterprise software company, admired Bill McDermott, what he did, and the passion of a $30 billion company that would dig into deals and CEOs that go on sales calls. And, it was just amazing. And had a great run with John. And I got promoted to be the GM North America for the cloud ERP business. And I was happy, didn't think I was going to ever change. I had found my niche. I was making a lot of money. I loved the company, loved the team. And but I always had this itch to can I take a company, go public? I'd failed a couple of times. I had a nice run at some spots, but saw some buddies. I'm like, I'm as smart as that guy. How come I can never get it done? And a recruiter called me about Intap. The time was sub 100 million, selling into legal tech and accounting consulting. And, I didn't think I was going to ever take a switch, right? And so, but I talked to the guys, I'd take the call. I had a lot of demand of what I would have to do to make the move. And the reason I went over to Intap is, number one, the people and the culture. I love what they did, bootstrapped it. A couple of guys from UCLA and Stanford started this thing and took no venture capital, bootstrapped it, became profitable, took on some private equity money to take some early founders out and do some acquisitions. But love the people, the culture, intellectually curious, collaborative. Love the market opportunity. Vertically oriented SaaS was very hot, and Viva and Guidewire had made it. And so it wasn't recreating the wheel. We felt that this was a space of underserved clients. And we'll talk a little bit about that more, about the professional and financial services partner-led businesses. And then the issue they had, I thought I could help solve. I couldn't make a product, couldn't set up an environment to go build something different, but I could build an organization and a sales culture. And I could help take a team that was selling point solutions to IT and sell, enterprise-wide platform deals to the owners of the firm. And so that's why I took the job. We were sub 100. And the goal when I got hired was to build this organization and help us scale to about 300 million and go public. And that was about 4 years ago. And it's happened. We went public at June of 21 and been public for 6 quarters. And we're over 300 million today. And it's been a great run. And the future is very, very bright for us. So I'm excited about being here.
Awesome. So great. And so many great people there that, Mercury DNA, you had Sue Barsimian, Tom Hogan, Mark, you mentioned, Rick Brown, I think Keith Milano, just so many great people. Mark, you mentioned, went on to be, I think, CRO of Citrix. Now he's on the board of Drift and, some other companies, just great folks there for sure. So with kind of one or two of those companies that, kind of, for lack of better words, blew up, a lot of times I always find you learn more from those situations than the ones that were kind of rocket ships. Any kind of takeaways or lessons learned from those train wrecks, or whatever you want to call them?
Yeah, I think culture, right? Like what does the company believe? Why do they exist? How do they operate? And, employee engagement's huge, right? You want to win their hearts and minds, right? And when you don't do that, it can be really negative. And then, things that you have to, product market fit is huge. And, when you start to scale, right? I think the things the things we've learned at stage two, how to scale a company, and how hard it is to take a service and make a product, right? Those are just really tough things to do. And so when I was searching for my gig, it had to have product market fit, real clients, a story that made sense, must have solutions versus need to, nice to have. And so learned a lot. And, it's about, a lot of it is leadership, right? And the people at the top, and who inspires you, who do you want to follow? How do you get people to go do the hard work they don't want to do, but they know they need to do? All those things that are, when you work for the right team, and, knock on wood, I think this is the best company I ever worked for. And I just loved our team top to bottom. And it's a pleasure to be a part of it.
Yeah. So just thinking with, any of the younger sellers that are out there, we're not allowed to talk about age these days, but, say if you're in your 20s or early 30s, I see Ross Taylor chiming in. So he's a great rep at Outreach. We all were in those shoes where, we were telemarketers, we were those early stage reps. And you look up at the time I had a Roger Marino or Frank Keeney or Dick Egan, more guys, Roger and Frank that were kind of running sales. And you think, wow, friggin', if there's any way I can ever be that, but you just automatically, when you're that age, you think there's no friggin' way. But obviously you're going to say, okay, here's my plan. If I do it, here's how I can do it. But you're a great testimony of kind of, you visualize it and say, okay, how can I be a sponge to grow and learn and develop? So as you think about, as you've gone from kind of, we all were in our 20s as a rep, now to this, CRO that I'm sure you've got, your whole team looks up to you big time. Kind of any advice to that younger top talent that wants to aspire to be like you?
Yeah, I'm just what I tell my own kids, right? I've got a daughter who's trying to make her way in, and it's, really understand the role that you're in. What does success look like? What are you supposed to do? The hard metrics, the soft metrics, like what is success look like? And thinking about, a year from now, when you want to give your own review and you want to grow, right? 'Cause everybody wants to grow. Making sure you execute, make sure you understand how the person you report to likes to communicate, how they want to receive information. And then, it's about hard work. It's about being smart. It's about being intellectually curious. It's about being situationally aware, right? Having a high level of emotional intelligence, not just regular intelligence. And just a tremendous amount of grit, right? Passion and perseverance. You're going to get punched pretty bad. It's going to be, it's not easy what we do, right? A lot of people say no, and you got to be able to know and understand how to react to that. So just the ability to show up, work hard, work smart, be able to be coachable and adaptable, right? Because just getting comfortable being uncomfortable is huge, right? Because what we're asked to do is different today. Like we did this for a couple of years on the screen. Who would have thought you could sell like this and do big deals, right? I would have never I would have thought you were crazy.
I would have never said there's no way in hell I'd ever be doing a podcast.
Exactly, right? Like who would have think like I'm really nervous today getting on the phone. Like what's he going to ask me? Like how's this going to go? Am I going to look dumb but like I'm pretty uncomfortable doing this. But it's going to help me grow as a leader. And so I'm excited about doing it, but a little bit nervous. So that's the advice I give. Just stretch yourself and, don't do the hard things. It's going to make you better.
Yeah. I mean, just, talking about being authentic, right? I mean, showing up, you're this big exec and saying, hey, yeah, I'm a little nervous. Like, so, anybody else that's, watching or doing things. I mean, we all remember our first sales calls, right? You're like, doing what in your pants saying, oh my God, and then you can't even talk, right? It's like, obviously you evolve and you go from there. And then another interesting thing you said was, kind of around feedback, performance management these days at a lot of companies seems to be kind of almost like a lost cause. So some of the advice that I give to people are, hey, if your company's lousy at it or your manager's lousy at it, you've got to own your own performance plan. You have to own your own feedback. So making sure you go to your boss, or you go to your manager or anybody else you're on sales calls with and say, hey, can I have any feedback? What can I do different or better? Kind of what do you do around that area?
I think so. In the old days, it was called windshield time. You prepare before the call, you come after the call right away. Everybody's in the call, you debrief. What went well? What didn't go so well? Did we, was it what we expected? What did we learn? What did we change? Right? Because you adapt all the time. I mean, we do advisory boards and we have a plan with our clients, and it doesn't go so well, and you got to change it up for the next one, or you kind of nail it. And so that real time feedback in corrective action is important. It's like a coach, right? If you got to be able to provide people feedback. I just, before this call, we hired a new rep, and she has tremendous grit and determination. She got me on a call to practice her pitch, right? 20 minutes. I absolutely want to give it. And it was, did a great job, but I gave her a lot of feedback on how to change things to prepare for a real customer. Because you want to practice not in front of the client. You want to practice before. So, and we have and I believe this, and I think I learned it at EMC, and I thought EMC was a great company in terms of preparing you to go on a call. And you could turn 2,000 sales reps upside down their head, the same thing would come out, because it was excellent sales enablement and execution, and this whole review preview process. What did we do well in the quarter? What didn't we do well? And what's our commitment for the next quarter? And that's, as a sales leader, for any of those who listen and want to lead a team, right? Being an elite sales leader is about being able to call and hit a number with predictably and understand what you're asking the sales team to do. And that's a lot of corrective action, because it doesn't go well a lot of things don't go well. You have to be able to correct that on the fly and get better the next time.